Sixth Sense was a game changer for me. I was blown away by its surprise ending. So much so that from that moment on, I deemed plot twists to rank up there as being one of the most important things for a movie to have. Because not only can you watch the movie with a twist once, but you can watch it for a second time and it still feels like new. It's great fun to watch other people watch it for the first time and to be staggered by how they don't get all of the obvious clues and hints. Why wouldn't you want a twist in a movie? Well, now I know. Because these days, people expect a twist. They want a surprise. And they spend their first viewing second guessing. I'm guilty of doing this myself, and I'm sure others are too, because I hate it when somebody confidently states that they figured out the twist, only to be completely wrong about it. That detracts from the viewing experience, and it undermines how good a great twist can be, when this sort of speculation is happening all the time. A story should make sense without there needing to be a twist, with any twist being a welcome extra rather than to be the reason for the story's existence. I don't like movies that feel incomplete until the twist is revealed, and I don't like it when a whole movie is based around a single twist, because the moment that's known, that's it, and much is lost. So that's your standard surprise ending twist, which completely changes the feel of the whole movie, but I guess a twist could also mean unexpected plot developments, which might not change what came before, but if done badly, might ruin that. Game of Thrones, for instance. This series spent 5 or 6 seasons building up engaging plot lines, only to throw it all out of the window in the last few episodes, simply to subvert expectations. God, that was depressing. Cersei was given the prophecy that she would be choked by her little brother. If it was Tyrion, it would have been predictable, but satisfying. If it had been from Jaime, it would have been more unexpected, yet even more satisfying. But plot twist, neither of these things happened. She died hugging her brother as she was crushed by bricks. What a twist! The prophecy was wrong. I didn't see that coming. That sure improved things, didn't it, guys? Game of Thrones was full of rubbish like that. I don't think there's a better example of a series that would have been infinitely more enjoyable had it simply concluded all of its character arcs in predictable yet satisfying ways. No need for any stupid twists or unlikely RNG events. How they faltered so spectacularly at the final hurdle still baffles me. So that's how not to do it. But even a good twist, I believe, can limit a story's appeal. A good twist rewards a second viewing, but a good movie is forever. And twists don't just plague viewers. When planning my Ogrub series, I'm battling constant thoughts of, oh, I could do this twist because it would be clever. But no, because even if it is clever, even if it still makes sense, it can still detract from whatever the original storyline was intended to be. It complicates, it confuses, and it undermines the viewer's confidence in what they're seeing. Just look at Sherlock and how it messed with whether or not Moriarty was alive so many times that even its most devout fanbase eventually imploded from the absurdity of it all. No, I refuse to add twists like that, because they can often detract from what's already told, or serve to complicate a perfectly simple and enjoyable story, which can often be to the detriment of the first viewing. I watched the live chat as the Ebony Warrior episode aired, and to my horror, people started saying stuff like, "Lydia's the Ebony Warrior." No, she isn't. Even if in the next episode I reveal she was, what does that achieve other than to sound clever? It detracts from her character while adding nothing much of value other than a smug sense of smartness for anybody who predicted it, no doubt amongst a dozen other incorrect predictions. In fact, the Ogrub series parodies twists. Near the end of the video, I announced that the Ebony Warrior is Ogrub's brother, and it changes absolutely nothing about the movie whatsoever, and was just used as a throwaway line at the time because I thought it was funny. I wish I had made it more obvious that I wasn't serious about it though, because some people in that chat were like, "Wow, what a twist!" And I'm like, no it's not, stop liking it. The series will also parody the "it was all a dream" twist, which is generally the first twist that children are aware of as they shoehorn it into every creative writing assignment that they can. Teachers must hate it. Probably the closest thing that Ogrub gets to a twist of some sort is in its title. If you were to watch the Ebony Warrior for the first time, you'd probably assume the title refers to the enemy, who is a warrior all kitted out in ebony armour. But then the whole storyline revolves around Lydia, the warrior who's turned to ebony halfway through. But then the term is used again at the end, being likened to Batman's use of the term Dark Knight, Ebony Warrior, which means the title was referring to Ogrub all along. But at least I don't force this stuff down your throat. It's open to interpretation depending on how literally you want to take the title. At this point in the video, the definition of twist is getting a little hazy. Is an unexpected event enough to be considered a twist? Or does a twist require deliberate manipulation to trick the audience the first time they watch it? Don't get me wrong, I don't mean that every movie should contain a predictable plot. I don't want to return to 80s action movies again. What I think is most engaging is a story where you're along for the ride. You don't know where it's heading, but you don't care because you're engaged in the current situation and are excited to see how the characters overcome the next challenge. You might consider Ogrub killing Lydia to be a twist. I don't. I see that as an inevitable consequence of the characters being who they are. Much like Rorschach dying at the end of Watchmen, it feels like the most logical outcome of the plot and character actions leading up to that point. They could have made it a twist where he removes his mask and he was the comedian all along. That sure would have been unexpected, but also rubbish, and it wouldn't have made any sense. I'm such a hypocrite because one of my favourite TV series is Inside Number 9, which contains a twist in almost every episode. The thing is, when there's a good twist, I skip through a second time to admire the clever ways they deceived me the first time. But the good episodes, I can watch over and over again, simply for the joy of the ride. So, in a surprise twist, maybe I don't actually dislike twists. I just dislike how people obsess about them, and how they've become a must-have feature at the expense of everything else.